Good evening, and thank you for viewing the December 17th meeting of the Arcata City Council. The City Council is being held as a hybrid meeting with both in-person attendance and teleconference access via Zoom. Before we start, the City Council just met on 2 closed session items, and there is nothing to report at this time. We did give direction to staff. I'd like to start with the land acknowledgement. The City of Arcata acknowledges that the lands that we are located on are the unceded ancestral lands of the Wiyot tribe. The land that Arcata rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Gudini, meaning over in the woods or among the redwoods. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments removed the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The City of Arcata acknowledges that the Wiyot community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement seeks to aid in dismantling the legacy narratives of settler colonialism. And if you would like to, please join us for the flag salute. Allegiance to the flag of the United States. All right, so roll call. Would the city clerk please call roll?
Mayor White,
Present.
Vice Mayor Atkins Salazar,
Here.
Councilmember Matthews,
Here.
Councilmember Stillman,
Present.
Councilmember Schaefer is absent, but we do have a quorum.
If you would like to make a comment during the meeting, either for an individual agenda item or during the second oral and written communication period under agenda item 11, there are 3 ways to do so. If you are here in person, please line up behind the podium when the item you would like to speak on is accepting public comment. 2, if you are logged into Zoom, click raise your hand when it is time for public comment on this item that you wish to speak on. And 3, if you're on the phone, star 9 on your phone to raise your hand. Press star 9. When it is your turn, you will be prompted to dial star 6 on your phone. For these items, we will be taking in person public comment first, and then move to the online comments. We will not be going back and forth, so if you are wanting to comment, please line up at the podium or raise your electronic hand as soon as the public comment is requested for that item. And now we will do ceremonial matters. We'll be giving a certificate of appreciation for Joseph Mateer for his 26 and a half years of service to the City of Arcata. And I believe that Joseph is here to accept that in person, and this certificate of appreciation will be read by Councilmember Matthews.
This is a certificate of appreciation for Joseph Mateer for his 26 and a half years of service to the City of Arcata. Whereas Joe has served the City of Arcata in multiple capacities, spanning the last 3 decades. Joe was initially hired in 1996 as a part-time planning technician, and again in 1997 as a part-time forest technician. Joe returned to the city as a full-time planning technician in 2001. He was promoted to assistant planner in 2002 and reclassified to senior planner in 2007, a role he has diligently served in since then. Over the years, Joe's careful commitment to the vision and policies of the general plan have distinguished him with colleagues and the community. And whereas Joe was the community development historian and storyteller, he could always be relied on for his encyclopedic knowledge and detailed recall of projects, policies, and decision over the last 20 years. It could be the odd setback on the garage ADU conversion on the alley off 12th Street, the policy background on the cannabis ordinance, or the Historic and Design Review Commission's preferences for window styles. Joe would have had an anecdote to share. And whereas Joe generously shared his passion for and knowledge of land use planning with colleagues and the public, he trained several junior colleagues and interns alike and developed many of the organizational systems the department uses to this day, streamlining work for efficiency and consistency. And whereas Joe's invisible fingerprints can be found on many city documents, having contributed to the housing element, land use element, gateway plan, and others, as well as the city's ADU, density bonus, inclusionary zoning, and cannabis ordinances, to name a few. And whereas Joe's passions and interests have supported him in his commitment to serving the whole community, as a father of 4, artist, pickleball enthusiast, and frequent attendee of community events and gatherings, has a deep connection and commitment to the community and inclusion in public process make him an honor to work with. And whereas Joe's legendary institutional knowledge, humor, creativity, and growth mindset have had a lasting impact on team morale and department function, his calm presence during even the most public hearings has been a grounding force for the department and will be deeply missed. And whereas Joe has served as a caretaker and guardian for our shared vision of Arcata as an oasis, offering a world of difference. Through nearly 3 decades of service, Joe's steady professionalism, thoughtful problem solving, and unwavering integrity have a lasting imprint on the city of Arcata, its built environment, and the colleagues who have the privilege of working alongside of him. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Arcata hereby recognizes and commends Joseph Matier for serving the people of Arcata for 26 and a half years. We wish him all the best and commemorate his retirement on December 31st, 2025. This is dated December 17th and signed by our Mayor, Kimberly White. And thank you, Joe.
Well, I'd like to really thank the council and my colleagues in the city, the broad band of all the colleagues that work in the Environmental Services Department, engineering, the street and crews, wonderful people to work at. It's been a wonderful career. I came to Arcata, and I don't have to tell people, but I do want to share that Arcata is not like everywhere USA. It's a special place. It's our community members that make it, our businesses that operate here, our city council, the past and present and future council, and all the staff that work there. When I first started working here, it was Arcata by committee. I think we had like 13 committees here, and we've kind of reduced some of those, but still that the commitment for the council to hear from the community as part of those committee members really helped shape our community. And part of that, there's this legacy, or not the legacy, but the work that we've been doing recently in our department, really kind of the infill development and with the gateway plan and the update of the general plan, that has taken us into a whole nother realm, and really looking forward to that, seeing it, the work we put into it, but then the work that I don't have to do anymore. I just get to enjoy it here. But Arcata is another term that I coined is Arcata. We house people, not cars. And so that's part of that vision of the general plan and the update. And I think it's important for us to realize that we are kind of on the cutting edge. It's always been there. The council has done that numerous times. And I think that we really want to maintain and keep that going on. Part of it, I have one last one, is keep Arcata chill. We have to remind ourselves that we might have differences, but let's just really take care of each other. All right, thanks again.
Next, we have a proclamation in recognition of Human Rights Awareness Month, December 2025. Jim Glover, Chair of Humboldt County Human Rights Committee, will be in person this evening to accept this proclamation, and this proclamation will be read by Councilmember Alex Stillman.
Thank you. So the proclamation in recognition of Human Rights Awareness Month, December 2025. Whereas the United Nations Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in December 1948, and this marked the first attempt in human history to set down minimum rights for every person should enjoy. And whereas in 2025, public awareness and lack of civility has grown amongst groups of people and individuals in their ability to discuss topics of the day without anger or fear. And whereas speech, whether free or inhibited, or now restrained by intolerant adversities from a multitude of pressures, including but not limited to family members, public officials, on social media, and in the schools. And whereas hate speech, intolerant language, bias, and discrimination have led to actions which are physically violent, emotionally intimidating, and in some cases cause physical harm, such as transformation within our culture is now eroding and will continue to further erode, and the peace and the tranquility of our community expects and deserves. And whereas the Humboldt County represents a small, mostly rural population within the framework of our country, we must all act in ways that are big and small to change the climate within our control and to strive to uphold and defend the right of free speech and what it means. And whereas in December 2025, individuals, local organizations, agencies, departments, elected officials, public servants choose a different path, a path that acknowledges peace, harmony, and human rights for all. In doing so, we vow to engage hate at all levels and possibly, is that possible? In doing so, we vow to engage hate at all levels possible during the year 2025. Human rights and freedom from fear must exist for all people or exist for no one. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Arcata hereby recognizes December 2025 as Human Rights Awareness Month and encourages all residents to educate themselves about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and to value the privileges and freedoms we enjoy in our diverse society, and to promote engagement in causes that promote rights and welfare of all members in our community, especially among our youth. And during this time, we advocate for special civic engagement to occur, for personal reflections to take place, for continued effort to educate the public, and for community efforts to use kindness instead of hate, regardless of the personal perceptions and political views. As dated December 17th, 2025, signed by Mayor Kimberly White. And Jim, I will bring this down to you.
Well, thank you. Just a couple. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Human Rights Commission, a group first established in Humboldt County in 1965, I wish to thank the Arcata City Council for their acknowledgement of our efforts and for the support of the Arcata community throughout the years. In 2026, the Commission will embark on a variety of new initiatives. We understand that many of the same old issues exist, but our understanding of other evolving issues is growing. With this in mind, I would like to enlist your support to make sure all our communities are equal participants in the good life we all aspire to in Humboldt County. Young, old, immigrant, indigenous, straight, LGBTQ, Black, brown, and any other way marginalized, all need to share in a better life. We must work together to collaborate. That is the mission of the Humboldt County Human Rights Commission. Thank you very much for your proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have a report by commission or committees, and we have none today, so we are on to staff reports. All reports shall be specifically limited to city business and shall not request or lead to action by the city council at this meeting. We will be receiving an update from Cal Poly Humboldt staff on the university's Foster Campus Connectivity Project. Thank you. And I apologize, can we receive an update from Mike Fisher with Cal Poly Humboldt?
Thank you, Mayor White. Get this thing set up here. There we go. Thank you, Mayor White, and council members, city staff, and community members. I'm happy to be here today to represent Cal Poly Humboldt and talk to you a little bit about our Foster project we have down there. My name is Mike Fisher. I am the acting vice president of Administration and Finance, CFO, for Cal Poly Humboldt. I've been part of the Cal Poly Humboldt community and this community for almost 22 years, and different roles, different respects. And I come from the facility side of the house, so I know my projects, and I'm happy to share this with you here today, and I'm excited about it. I think it's worthwhile talking about the context of what Foster offers, Cal Poly Humboldt in the city of Arcata. And, there's been quite a bit of movement from Cal Poly Humboldt in the past few years here, not least of which Hanarhu Malik to the north of the city, and then Foster on our main campus. Why I bring this map up, and it might be hard for some of the community members in the audience to see here, but we have three real distinct areas that we're looking at, right? North, then across the highway to the east where our main campus resides, then Foster to the west. The adjacent property to what's in red in Foster right now is also part of the foundation. We're currently working with agriculture out there as well. And so we really do have an opportunity to have a Foster campus for Cal Poly Humboldt, and one where we're really exploring agriculture and other things. So it just begs the question, how are we promoting connectivity, between these various sites, and doing so that raises all ships, not just Cal Poly Humboldt, make sure that, all participants of the city and then visitors can benefit from the improvements that we find connecting these three individual spots. And I'm going to finish with the Foster project, but I think it's worthwhile talking about the Annie Mary Trail, which is a wonderful project that the city has pursued. We're very appreciative of all the efforts that have been done there. We are collaborators in that project, both in design and financially, as well as a Sunset Overpass or the Interchange project. Boy, what a game changer that project is. And then I'll finish up on the Foster project. The Annie Mary Trail really was a pivotal component of the Hanarhu Malik project. We really understood that to be our main pedestrian thoroughfare from that location, getting them off EYE Street over to the Sunset Interchange and Overpass. It was critical for us. The city had a monumental lift on getting all the pieces to align to deliver that project, and did so right thereafter we were delivering our project. So I really look at that as a wonderful example of how we've collaborated, and then really lined up schedules to make sure that can happen. And you can see it in use today. The image on the right here, that is our main bike shelter, and what we're trying to establish is non-motorized transportation, secure bike parking, sheltered bike parking, rechargeable facilities at every one of our locations, main campus, Hanarhu Malik, and also Foster. That really gets people out of the cars onto the trails and promotes our sustainability goals on campus. Another view here of Annie Mary Trail, looking at the connectivity. This is a paved section. You can see the ramp going to, I believe that's Todd Court. We connect Larson Park on this trail as well, all bringing our students and the community to the real amenities of Arcata and our community. This project here, the Sunset Interchange, I mean, boy, this is such a long time coming, and what a wonderful project, and really just big appreciation to the city staff for seeking funding. We worked with them on design and concept, as well as a little bit of funding, but improving pedestrian safety, bike safety, making sure that we don't impact too greatly our vehicular ways. This was a real game changer for Cal Poly Humboldt and connectivity of the 101 that bisects our community here. Now on to Foster. Foster was a project that we envisioned to really introduce infrastructure to a site that is absent all infrastructure, right? Power, water, sewer, parking, transportation, access. It's absent all those things. Any ambitions that the university would like to see at the Foster property really needs those basic elements first and foremost. And that's really what our Stepping Stone project is all about. This project that we have on screen right now occupies about a quarter of the total Foster 2000 site. It's modest in its scale and structure. Where we are in the total project is we've developed this concept. We're working through the California Environmental Quality Act process and garnering public comment, which we have. And I'm happy to say that there was very good comment. There was a lot of engagement in that process. And we really saw a theme start to come out of those comments. Certainly the traffic on Foster, right? Foster has a very unique thoroughfare where it has 90-degree turns in order to get to the bottoms. And there are a lot of folks that do use that that corridor. So what do we want to do? How do we get our pedestrians from this site over to campus? That was a big question that we have. Certainly, we had some lighting concerns. Right now, it's a bit of a dark area out there. People want it to remain such, and so we have to bring that into consideration. Certainly, there are a few areas of wetland that are identified in here, and we're mitigating those areas. The bike and ped conflicts, which we talked about. All of these things were really great comments that led to a better position for the university to focus in on. And we did that. What we did is we went back to the drawing board and retooled our project and said, we have to really think about how we get our folks back over to the intersection of Foster and Spear Alliance. Thank you. Without traveling the 90-degree turns in Foster. And so it really became critical that we introduce a connectivity to that area. So we said, all right, design team, all the permitting agencies that are involved with this project, because there is a slew here. There's a lot of permitting that we have to do. What can we do to make sure that this project scope's inclusive of pedestrian access, bike and ped, from the main corridor over to the site? And so there is a rail right-of-way already, and it from our study that we've currently gotten into, its width is wide enough to introduce a Class 1 trail, similar to what we're doing in Annie Mary, to be able to get people that are parking over there back to the main Foster at this point, absent the arduous process of introducing realignment of the roadway connections and bridges, but still serves the purpose of what we intend to do is bring people off the road onto trail, making sure they can reach back to campus on those main thoroughfares on the first slide that were in blue. So that was one of the major changes. Certainly the other considerations that are the themes in the comments back we're considering as part of the project design as well. We're also considering alternate shuttle service. We do understand that just having more cars on that road, particularly a larger shuttle, might be an issue. We're looking at how we program that to be of less impact. Certainly when you look at shuttle and buses on the regular streets, what we're proposing is significantly less than what you might see. And I know that I have partners in here that could talk to the numbers on that. And so it's with this modification and with the context of how we're bringing all these sites together and hopefully introducing infrastructure that benefits not just Cal Poly Humboldt, but the community at large. We open it up for comments and questions from the council and city staff on what we're having to show you here.
Thank you, Mike. Would you like to start over here?
Well, I would just ask, I was going to ask you, we always have that connectivity for Foster going through, and I see on Heather in that area. Well, going across the creek, you won't be doing that, or will you be doing that?
We're introducing the trail to make the connection at this point because there's already existing easement, there's already existing infrastructure in place. We're not introducing any new impacts with what's currently there, and so we're limited to what we can actually build to really the rail that's currently going across that section, and it's just big enough to accommodate a Class 1 trail system. So I'm sorry if I'm not answering your question directly.
No, I think it's the concerns that I hear are the people, they're worried about driving on Foster Avenue to get through the gates. I don't know. I've driven it and gone out there and looked. And so when I drive it and I look at it and I'm thinking there's some gates that go onto the property.
Yes.
And they go by a corner, a curve, and then they go in. Is that going to be the route for people to drive on with their cars?
Yes, that would still be the route for folks to drive on. You can see here it's a little hard to make out without the context of the turn, but this driveway here and the one to the west, which is down on the page, this is closer to the turn. The turn is off, obviously, the screen, but that and this would be our main access points. And when you drive by the site now, you'll see where those gates exist, and those are the main access points. They will be improved, certainly for visibility and safety, but they currently introduce a way for us to get over what has been mapped as wetland, that trough of water that borders the property. And so we're kind of fixed. Those are fixed points for us to be able to develop.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Stillman, one of the things, I don't know if you picked that up in the presentation, but this is just the initial phase, and they're thinking about adding a Class 1 trail. And then in the future, as the site develops, they would be looking at the bridge and the connectivity with Foster Avenue.
Okay, thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
That's the part I was wondering about, if that was going to ever happen in the future, because that was something that was part of a planning decision or discussions many years ago, and I just wondered if that was still in the works in any way. So thank you.
Thank you for introducing kind of the main point of the presentation, Merritt. I apologize that I left that out, but yes, this is a phase 1, phase 0, if you will, to bring critical infrastructure to this site. Certainly, as we continue to look to developing Foster 1, Foster 2, which we call Foster 1 2000, as we continue to develop this, we really understand that there's a clear benefit to introducing the realignment of Foster back across the slough in some sort of a vehicular bridge with pedestrian thoroughfare as part of it as well. And that's something that we've worked through with the city in concept and design. Our ability to achieve a large infrastructure project like that with this phase is a little out of reach financially, but certainly we have thresholds that we're putting in place with the city with how we want to develop out there, and this is phase 0 of that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I was just wondering about that, and now you clarified it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think for phase 0, a Class 1 trail is amazing. We know that our community supports trails. It's a big priority. So I think it's a great addition and a good start to the project. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I have nothing to add, but just thank you. I know that the community really appreciates this update as well. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you for your presentation. That was great.
Mayor White, if I could just add a couple things too. I want to just make a correction on one of the slides that Mike had. When you see the bike shelter picture that he had, it looks very empty. And every time I've seen that bike shelter, I don't think there's an extra spot to hang another bike. So I just think that this might have been an early photo, and it's amazing how many people are riding the bikes there. And I'll just also mention that we have a couple other items that they're not necessarily related to this, but we have an item on the agenda for preferential parking on EYE Street, which is in close proximity to Hinar Humalik. And we also have a parking restriction at our city parks. And so I would just point out that people have said, well, what's the university doing? How come they didn't build a big enough parking lot at the housing project? Well, this is one of the things the university is doing to alleviate that problem too. So in conjunction with the other projects, encouraging the bike and ped, this parking lot will provide additional relief, and the other items that we have on the agenda will address some of the issues that we're having out there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And this will not be the last time that you see Cal Poly Humboldt at the table talking about products or programs. So thank you.
Well, that'll be nice to know that you'll be coming back with your progress, so thank you.
Okay, that leads us to oral and written communications. The City Council values your comments. The public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. This early section of public comment is limited to 15 minutes, and speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. If you prefer to have a full 3 minutes of time for your public comment, this item is continued at the end of the meeting under item 12, where speakers are granted 3 minutes. Please know that pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. There will also be a time to provide public comment specific to each item when that item is being reviewed by the council. So go ahead and make your way to the podium. Does anybody?
Technically, I'm number 2. Are you number 1? Do you want to go? Go right ahead. Okay. My name is Brittany Villagran. I'm a local veterinarian that lives in the Bottoms. Mike gave a great presentation and made it sound very lovely, but no one in the Bottoms actually really knows about this. I just was found out about it maybe like a month or a half ago. And I have not met one neighbor that lives in the Bottoms that is in favor of this. It sounds lovely. Have you walked on those streets though? Have you tried to go off 17th to Alliance? It's very dangerous. I've almost been hit by a car with my dog, like I would say 10 times in the last like 3 months. So I don't know if the city is planning on putting a light, or when the tsunami warning happened, it took like 10 to 12 minutes to get out because there was only 3 streets to go and it's not safe. And on 17th near Alliance, there is a house that apparently used to be a risk management person that worked for the state. And all it takes is for some of the children from the school, from the churches that they get walked daily to get hit by a car or a shuttle, and you're liable. If the shuttles happen and they're every 15 minutes, that's about 88 shuttles a day on top of 200 cars. And that's not 200 cars once a day. Kids are going to be moving their cars multiple times a day. So it's probably about 400 maybe if we're going to be nice about it. And if they're charging for parking in the parking lots, you assume college kids are going to start parking on the streets. So it's not as rosy as Mike is saying. And I know you live here, but would you want shuttles going down your street 15 minutes every day?
Would you mind addressing your comments to the council, please?
Yes,
Oh,
thank you.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't do this often, so I don't know. Thank you. But no one knows about it. And I have other things I've had to do today, so I haven't been able to like talk to my community as much as I want to. But I've talked to about 50 neighbors on Iverson, off Villa, off all those streets around there. And no one's in favor of it. And no one knows.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Good evening. I'm Doug Moyer. I'm a resident of Arcata. And I first began coming to the city council meetings in the previous months to advocate for the sister city. And I really had never been much of an attendee of city council meetings, so I've been to several, and I want to tell you, I've been very impressed. I know it's a lot of work, and I thank you for the work you do. We do continue to hope that you'll consider the city or the sister city project proposal. It's a hope that we can be a light of hope and peace emanating from our community. In the past year, Jimmy Carter passed away. I took a moment to seek out his book that he wrote in 2007, Peace Not Apartheid. And, in the 18 years that have passed since that book was published, things have really continued the same or worse. So I think we always just need to try to move forward in a positive manner towards a better situation there, and we have that responsibility. So please do consider that proposal. We're hoping that we can move that forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you guys. I just wanted to first congratulate Kimberly White for being our new mayor. Just really appreciate that you're taking the mantle. And the reason for my comments today is to push forward the idea that we can really be a sister city with Gaza City. We've already done a lot of the work to make those connections. Gaza City municipality wants to be a sister city with us, they have said, as well as, we've had workshops with children, funded them to play and be children, among other things. Even the children say they want to be a sister city with Gaza City, with Arcata, sorry. So, this is really a project about being, creating a world that really works for women and children and people, both in Gaza City as well as Arcata, as well as around the world. I was really struck by the proclamation from the Human Rights the Human Rights Proclamation. It said, human rights and freedom from fear must exist for all people or they exist for no one. So that wasn't limited to just Arcata boundaries, right? That means, you know, everywhere. And so, you know, that's what this project is about. And that's why this is so important to so many people locally, that they want to see this initiative work, because you know, we do have this interconnectedness between our communities. And so when people are witnessing a genocide in Gaza, you know, it hits home really hard. It hits us in our heart. And we can do this. We're actually implementing right now in Gaza City 22 days of water distribution that is believed to reach up to 285,000 people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for having this public comment period and for doing a very difficult, challenging job being our representatives up here. I'm also speaking in favor of the sister city. I know that's starting to wear on you maybe a little bit, but hopefully it'll wear on you in the right direction, or the direction that I want it to go anyway. My name's Blaise Bond Payne. I've taught political science at CR, at Cal Poly, and government at a couple of different high schools and junior highs in Humboldt County. And I see that the United States population mostly considers our role in Gaza to be a national embarrassment, where we are literally supporting the bombing and the starvation of tens of thousands of children every day, bombing the city to ruins and locking the people into place. There's no way that can go on. And one of the arguments that's been used against the sister city is just that it's an international problem, and we can't deal with anything outside of the boundaries of Arcata. And that is not true. And I want to address that comment. International peace and justice issues and going against federal policy, we have the nuclear free zone, which is a policy of Arcata. We have the lantern ceremony opposing genocide in Japan. We have the Nicaragua sister city, which was a sister city which took place in a country where we were bombing. And so the city of Arcata has a long history of opposing international problems like this.
Thank you for your
so
comment.
much.
Hello. My name is Travis. I am a returning student to Humboldt. While I am not a permanent resident, the time spent here over the years has provided me a unique opportunity to observe the relationship between people and place. In geography, my major, this is an essential concept. However, what I've observed here is in fact an estranged relationship. This is to say, a sense of disconnect between ourselves and this landscape, as well as between one another. Inequality can be seen just by walking down the adjacent streets to this building. There is a profound contradiction between the beauty of our natural surroundings and the material conditions of the houses we all pass by each day on the corner by the grocery store. This, I feel, is part of a larger phenomenon, the fundamental alienation of the self in relation to others and to the environment. We live in an era with the technologic means to connect to the various regions of this world with instantaneous speed. But has this allowed humanity to become closer? Even in a local context, there is difficulty in creating a robust, interconnected community that can organize and create action. For all the virtues of social media, for 2 years, the entire world has scrolled through real-time documentation of a genocide, itself a continuation of decades of painful history. And instead of action, the world has been passively observing this constant stream of atrocities. Instead of dialogue, there is vitriol. And instead of community, there is confrontation, all of which is fueled by corporate media. This movement to establish Arcata as a sister city to Gaza City is an opportunity to change this situation, to create real, genuine connections to the people and unite them under the cause of mutual aid, to reach out to the misfortunate both locally and abroad, and in so doing, diminish the rot and decay present at the core of this society. Change is not only possible, but it is necessary for humanity to survive. We must internalize solidarity and enact justice. I'll end with a quote from a wise man. All that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned. And man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life and his relations with his kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that is in person that would like to make a comment? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
We have one hand raised on Zoom.
Thank you.
Doug, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Doug Landers. I'm also a resident of Arcata, here to speak in support of the Sister City project with Gaza. I think it espouses a lot of the values that we've talked about here tonight as part of the city council meeting, as well as it being a very timely thing this month with the Human Rights Awareness Month. I think it will foster a sense of connectivity as well as enrich us culturally as a town. So thank you.
Is there anyone else on Zoom?
No, there is not.
Okay. So we are now on the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are considered to be routine by the City Council and are enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion of any of these items. If discussion is required, that item is removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. A, approve the waive reading of the text and consent to read by title only for an ordinance on this agenda. B, approve the minutes of the City Council meeting of November 19th, 2025. C, bi-weekly report on disbursements. D, adopt resolution number 256-03 to authorize establishing a public agency retirement service, PARS, 115 trust to pre-fund city pension obligations and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. E, approve the plans for parking along the Mad River Parkway for Carlson Park. F, adopt resolution number 256-26, declaring approximately 8 acres of the city-owned property at Happy Valley, assessors parcel number 507-081-038, surplus land, not a project pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. G, adopt resolution number 256-19, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata adopting the primary loan program guidelines to work in conjunction with Cal Home Mobile Home Ownership Program guidelines. H, adopt resolution 256-24, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata approving the City of Arcata's new employee onboarding administrative policy and authorize the city manager to execute all applicable documents. I, adopt resolution number 25622, adopting the amended Permanent Local Housing Program, PLHA, Owner-Occupied Rehabilitation Program Guidelines, California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, exempt per the common sense exemption. J, approve amendment number 3 to the professional services agreement with AP Triton, LLC for providing a community risk assessment and standards of cover study analysis for the Arcata Fire Protection District, increasing the contract price by $1,300. And K, adopt resolution number 256-23, authorizing the adoption of the Humboldt Operational Area Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025, update and approve necessary and associated related actions, not a project per CEQA. Would any council member or staff like to remove an item from the consent calendar?
I have a suggestion on K, though I don't necessarily have to remove the item,
Okay.
if I can make it. So I was looking at the stakeholders, and it's on table 23, so it's the third one we have. And it mentions that one of the stakeholders would be the Arcata Main Street as representatives of business and academia and other private organizations. And I would suggest that be changed over to the Arcata Chamber of Commerce. If you all can find out where I'm talking about, but it's under 2.1.2 stakeholders engagement, and it's the third item under the staff report. Anyway, thank you. With that, I would move for adoption of the consent calendar.
So I think we would note the change, but I don't think there's a motion that, just to clarify, there's not a motion to amend or pull one of these items, but more just information for staff that we may want to
Yes, I
consider
just
that.
think that it's Arcata Main Street doesn't exist anymore. It'd be good to have another organization that represents businesses like the Arcata Chamber there.
Thank you. We hear you.
That was a nice
Thank you.
catch, Alex. I'll second that. I'll second
Thank you.
the consent calendar.
Okay, and do we have any other staff or council members that would like to pull an item? Okay, do any of the members of the public waiting to comment on any consent items? If so, please line up at the podium.
Thoroughly, and there's a lot in here right now, and I went and looked at the folder that's available prior to the meeting, and a huge number of pages of information. So I guess a couple of things that I just want to highlight on item D, retirement services. I know that our employees are valuable and we want to keep them, and we want to give them what they need to survive in our community in terms of salary and benefits. It's just a lot of money that we really need to revisit about our retirement with CalPERS and the amount of money that we're giving to them and liable for in a lot of ways. So I just wanted to say that that continues to be a big concern of mine. On a smaller note, but also important, now that we have a regional climate action plan, item E about the plans for parking along the Mad River Parkway, I think maybe that will be a time where we start looking at parking slots that are not just for cars, and designing parking slots that can be for other vehicles like bicycles, or other ways that we can have people lock up their bicycles in a parking slot that a car could also park in if a bike's not there. But the giving preference to cars so much is not necessarily going to be what we're going to be doing in a climate action plan way. So let's think creatively about how we can turn some of those parking slots into versatile parking for a variety of different things. And I could go on, but I won't. But I just wanted and appreciate the opportunity to say that.
Thank you. Is anyone else wanting to come up to the podium? Am I allowed to make a comment? I just wanted to let you know there's some beautiful bike parking at Carlson Park, and you can lock your bike there, so we have a good start. May I have a motion to adopt? Oh, yes, I apologize. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
No, we do not.
Okay.
And I did notate the mover and the seconder for adopting the consent calendar with Councilmember Stillman moving and Councilmember Matthews seconding.
Great. All right. So I'm a yes. So let's do a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Now that brings us to old business. Hold a public hearing to adopt ordinance number 1583, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata, amending Title 8 of the Arcata Municipal Code and adopting by reference the 2025 California Building Standards Code, the Uniform Housing Code, the Uniform Code for the Abatement of Dangerous Buildings, and the Property Maintenance Code. Can we have a staff report from the building official, Joe Bishop? Nope, it's Netra.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, and the member of the public. The item in front of you is for adoption of our new Building Code 2025. On November 19th, 2025, we brought this item in front of you for introduction. Since then, we have not received any comments or anything, as this is a very ritual item, I would say. It's a standard building code we need to adopt. So we are just doing the protocols. So I would say let's move forward with open for public hearing, get some feedback. If not, approve this ordinance and so that we can adopt the building code. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from council at this time? Okay. Do we have members of the public waiting to comment on this item? Okay. So then I guess I am looking for a motion from council.
I would move to, let's see, to adopt ordinance number 1583, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Arcata amending Title 5678 of the Arcata Municipal Code and adopting reference of 2025 California Building Code standards and the Uniform Housing Code and the Uniform Code for Abatement of Dangerous Buildings and the Property Maintenance Code.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Alex Stillman and a second from Stacy Atkins Salzar. Is there any more discussion on the motion before we vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That brings us to new business. We will be receiving a presentation and adopt the Valley West Neighborhood Center Assessment Report. Can we have a staff report from the director of, it looks like we have Emily Benvey. So, please.
Pulled a little bait and switch on you there. Good evening, council and community members. My name is Emily Benvey, Deputy Director of Community Services Division for Environmental Services Department. This project has been a real collaboration between both the Environmental Services Department as well as the Community Development Department, probably hence the Community Development Director staff report reviewer. I will soon be joined by two of our consultant team members on housing tools. We're just dealing with a little bit of a spatial limitation at the moment. So they'll dive more deeply into the specifics of the project, but as I have noticed I have a tendency to do, I like to frame whatever staff report I'm bringing before the council just to give a little bit of that big picture view on how the particular agenda item ties into that larger picture. So for that framing, the City of Arcata has worked with Valley West community members for the past several years and has really been working to identify and address some of the key community priorities. Most recently, those priorities have included the development of Carlson Park, which has become a beloved regional park, as well as completing the Valley West basketball court that was completed, I believe, pre-pandemic. In the last couple years, we added a barbecue pit to invite more community gatherings into the space. We completed the Valley West Dog Park. The City Council has allocated funding to support a participatory budget process over the past couple fiscal years. The city has focused programming and event opportunities in the community, and we have begun construction of the Annie and Mary Trail to provide better non-motorized transportation connectivity from Valley West to downtown Arcata. So we've done a lot, and we've learned a lot from the community in helping to prioritize the different projects to complete in the Valley West community. One of those priorities that has yet to be achieved, however, is the development of a neighborhood center. And so to move forward on that community value, in 2023, the City of Arcata was awarded a grant from Housing and Community Development for $250,000 to conduct an assessment for the development and operation of a neighborhood center in Valley West. The goal of the grant has really been to gather community input and envision how a neighborhood center might best serve the community, to identify potential feasible sites, and to provide recommendations on development and operational funding. To set some expectations, the work has represented the initial step in determining the feasibility of a future neighborhood center. It's really focused on gathering that community input, evaluating general development opportunities, and outlining types and sizes of facilities that could serve those community identified needs. So it establishes a broad vision, but it's not intended to identify a final site or select a single development option or advance a specific acquisition or construction at this stage. So really kind of staying at that high level, broad vision of what would it take to establish a neighborhood center rather than here's exactly what we're going to do and where we're going to do it. So the final deliverable is the Valley West Neighborhood Center assessment that our consultant team has put together. As I mentioned, it's to inform next steps and provide leverage for potential funding. And so with that, I will turn it over to James Coles and Alex Salazar, two of our members of the Housing Tool consultant team, to provide the report. And I'll sit right here as questions come up.
Okay. And would be slideshow. Oh, there we go. From the beginning. Good evening, Mayor White and council members. We are excited to present to you the findings from the Valley West Neighborhood Center assessment. We've worked on this assessment over the past year, and we have gained valuable insights from our coordination with city staff and community engagement, demographic research, site assessments, and learning from community center case studies. My name is James Coles. I'm the principal at Housing Tools, and I'll be presenting the Valley West Neighborhood Center assessment with Alex Salazar of Salazar Architect. Housing Tools is the prime contractor for conducting the Neighborhood Center assessment. Our project team, as shown here, includes Salazar Architect and their subcontractors, Laco Associates and Terrain Landscape Architecture, who conducted the site feasibility studies, and Chris A. Hess Consulting and Raruti Design and Communication. The assessment report summarizes community input on needed programming and services, includes an assessment of potential sites, a financial analysis, and recommendations and conclusions. The neighborhood center target area is shown here as part of the Valley West neighborhood. It is bounded by US Highway 101 on the west, Giuntoli Lane on the north, and State Highway 299 on the south. The major arterial roads that run through the target area are Valley West Boulevard and Valley East Boulevard. And this target area makes up the most populated portion of Census Tract 12, Block Group 3. We conducted a number of community engagement activities. These included 2 in-person community-wide visioning sessions conducted in English and Spanish and held on February 1st, 2025 at the CUNA Resilience Hub at Woodsman Hall, 4700 Valley East Boulevard. We also conducted 5 online focus group sessions with Valley West residents on April 19th and 26th of 2025, Queer Humboldt staff on April 24th, 2025, individuals from the Wyatt and other indigenous tribes of Arcata on April 3rd and the 24th of 2025, and social services providers on May 6th of 2025. A community-wide survey was conducted from December 4th, 2024 through May 1st, 2025 using paper copies, QR codes, and online software. This is provided in English and Spanish. It was completed by 387 residents over that 5-month period, including 121 Valley West residents. The community-wide visioning sessions featured hands-on collaborative activities facilitated by Salazar Architect with 6 tables of 5 to 8 people at each table. And the activities included an ice-breaking exercise shown here on the far right, in which participants portrayed a happy memory from their childhood with materials provided on the tables. A community values activity in which participants voted for community values that should be reflected in the neighborhood center as identified on community value cards. And a programming and services activity in which each table picked 10 of 41 programming and spaces cards to be prioritized in the neighborhood center. In the community engagement activities, participants were asked to prioritize their highest community values to be expressed in the neighborhood center among a list of 10 community values. These 4 community values listed here were the highest prioritized through that exercise. So sustainability
aims to minimize the negative environmental impacts of buildings by prioritizing energy efficiency, resource conservation, and the use of eco-friendly materials. It's a design approach that considers the local climate and ecology as well as indoor environmental conditions. Arts and culture is a recognition that architecture imbued with artistic and cultural elements acts as a powerful expression of a society's values, traditions, and history. In the context of a neighborhood center, it acknowledges the pivotal role that such a building can play in terms of providing spaces for artistic expression and cultural celebrations and fostering a sense of belonging. Resilience is the implementation of design strategies which increase a building's capacity to withstand and recover from unexpected events, including natural disasters and changing environmental conditions. It also refers to the use of a building as part of a community's resiliency response to disasters, such as providing shelter during times of emergency. And community wellness emphasizes designing spaces that positively impact the physical, mental, and social well-being of people within a community. This involves creating environments that encourage social interaction, promote physical activity, and foster a sense of connection with nature. High priority areas of focus for programs through the community engagement activity include those listed here. Food insecurity and community building around food, medical, dental, and mental health services, recreation, education, community resources, and community events. And later on in the presentation, I'll provide some examples of these within each of the four prioritized community values. We interviewed city facility staff to learn from their experiences in operating the city's community centers. And this is a summary list of some of those recommendations. Planning for adequate storage space, provide adequate parking and loading space, create flexible spaces for programming, include kitchen with adequate amenities, including a freezer, include a larger multi-purpose room that could be broken down into smaller spaces depending on programming, provide playground or outdoor play space, and may need air conditioning or at least adequate airflow and ventilation. I'm now going to turn it over to Alex Salazar with Salazar Architect, who conducted the site inventory, and he'll provide more information on that process and the findings out of that.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Salazar. I'm principal of Salazar Architect. We initially did the inventory of 6 sites in the target area that were identified in the prior Valley West Community Resource Center and Park report that was completed in 2021 by Cal Poly Humboldt students. And we also looked broadly at sites in the neighborhood before we narrowed it down to these sites located here on this map. Some of the factors we looked at were, are they for sale? Are they zoned for commercial? Do they have adequate access to public transit? Are they large enough? And do the public roads have the infrastructure that are necessary for the site? After sorting out these factors, we narrowed it down to 4 sites that you see here. We toured them in February of 2025 with our civil and landscape team. Site 4, indicated on this map, was eliminated because there's a creek on the site, which made it problematic. And so we were left with 3 sites to do a more in-depth conceptual study on. Next. In parallel with this work, as James just walked through, there was a number of community engagement workshops and focus groups. The image at the top right is one of those workshops. This diagram consolidates the feedback we heard and links it to the community values that people voiced during these focus groups and workshops with the desired program for the neighborhood center. As noted by James, some of the high-level core values are sustainability, arts and culture, as well as resilience and community wellness. Some of the key programmatic areas included a food pantry, a community kitchen, classrooms, early learning space, a large community hall or room. Key outdoor areas included covered outdoor space, a community garden, playground, play fields for sports. And there were many other comments and input. The image at the bottom right is of the neighborhood tour we did a few months ago, where we walked the sites in the neighborhood with neighbors. And here are the 3 sites that we analyzed more in depth in the report to help us identify opportunities and constraints and to kind of shape what the costs might be to develop these sites as an example of what might be possible. Site 1 is a vacant 2.43 acre lot located between Valley West and Valley East Boulevards, adjacent to the Valley West Shopping Center. Site 2 is a 1.34 acre lot located on Valley West Boulevard, adjacent to an open green space and flood control area that is the former site to the old Laurel Tree Charter School. And Site 3 is the half-acre lot located on Valley East Boulevard and Howland Drive that currently is Woodsman Hall and used by the community. On all 3 sites, we tried to test fit a 18,500 square foot building, and we looked at using typical commercial building footprint depths and massing strategies to allow for natural daylight, to create good pedestrian environments along the street, and to locate parking at the back. The report you have in front of you goes into depth in each site. We also provide a list of high-level sustainable design strategies for both the building and landscape on pages 29 and 30 of the report, which could be applicable to any of these 3 sites. So here's Site 1 in more detail. It has a lot of great attributes. This is the large vacant land in the center of the neighborhood. It's next to a commercial center. It's directly connected to both streets, Valley West and Valley East Boulevards. It has really good transit access, ample space for parking. The city could even land bank part of the site for future development, such as housing for use during hazards or a place for community resilience services. The site fits the entire 18,500 square foot building at one level, which has some benefits around accessibility. And in this strategy, we located the building fronting Valley East Boulevard to activate the street. And the site is the largest of the 3 sites that we looked at and can accommodate a number of outdoor needs. Site 2 is adjacent to Highway 101, which makes it challenging as there's only one access point and due to the noise and dust pollution. It also has water infiltration issues, and the slope terrain presents some accessibility challenges. Being located at the end of a cul-de-sac and next to a dry creek means that in a major storm event, the location risks being cut off from the rest of the neighborhood. The site is a reasonable size, but the existing building is in poor condition and would need to be demolished. And a new building could be placed at the east side in order to activate the street and to avoid the more flood-prone and noisy portion of the site at the back. And we place the parking at the back at that area, closer to the highway. There is adequate amount of space for outdoor uses on the site, and the adjacent lot could be seasonally used if the city were to repurpose the land. Site 3 is the Woodsman Hall site, which is adjacent to a public park and playground and the new dog park that was provided. And it's central in the neighborhood. The small half-acre lot, though, makes it challenging. Woodsman Hall itself is in pretty good condition, but to accommodate a neighborhood center, it would need to be demolished. A new 2-story building can fit on the site, but probably would not be able to fit the entire program. And we located the massing along the street to activate the street. It takes up most of the site, and it left a modest amount of parking. And people could utilize the adjacent park and playground for outdoor activities. So to recap, these diagrams that we did are not full design proposals, but capacity diagrams really to demonstrate what might fit on site and to summarize some of the advantages and disadvantages. Site 1, the large vacant lot, it's central. It has near a lot of other amenities. It's an adequate size for the programming. It has the potential for phasing. The building could be at one level and be very accessible. Perhaps the one downside might be that it's a large site, so it might be more expensive to purchase at the front end. Site 2, this former school site, it's well known in the community, which is a positive. It's also larger than Site 3, so there's some advantages there. However, it is prone to flooding. It would require demolition of the existing building. It's also a narrow and deep site, which makes it a little awkward to fit a proposed, a future building. And it's adjacent to the freeway. And then lastly, the Woodsman Hall site, some of the same things that it's well known in the community, which is great. It's a central location. It's near amenities, can take advantage of the adjacent recreational areas. But it is very small and would require demolition of the existing building. So collectively, these are all some of the main advantages and disadvantages that the city may want to consider for any site. And I'll pass it back now to James to finish with recommendations and conclusions.
Thanks, Alex. The next two slides provide some recommendations in terms of amenities, design features, and programming under each of the 4 priority community values based on feedback through the community engagement process. So under sustainability, potential amenities include the community garden and community kitchen. Design features would include energy efficient design and systems, educational signage, and passive shading, solar system, efficient electric heat pump, lighting with occupancy and daylight sensors, energy efficient appliances, xeriscape plantings, and the educational signage as well. Services and programming could include a farmer's market. Under arts and culture, art gallery space was recommended. Library, could be a small library. Classes and workshops. Design and features could include resident participation in building artwork, such as in paintings, tile work, or sculpture. Decorative motifs and naming that pay homage to local culture and Native American tribes. And then our services and programming, art classes, art gallery presentations, music concerts, writing and computer classes, dancing, and other art representations. Within resilience, potential amenities, food pantry, medical clinic could be a mobile medical clinic that with days for visitation there, public Wi-Fi, meeting spaces. Under design features, that could include the battery backup for the electrical system, engineering for flood resiliency and grading, storm drainage, and building elevation, engineering for fire resiliency and building materials and landscaping design, and information board kiosk with emergency information. Also, a flexible large space that could serve as emergency shelter space with accompanying hygiene facilities, such as bathrooms and or showers. In terms of services and programming, could include CSA box distribution, emergency planning, events, and classes. Within community wellness, amenities could include exercise room, medical clinic, food pantry, community garden. Design features can include usable and attractive outdoor spaces, sustainable low off-gassing building materials, and maximizing natural light in the building, as well as optimal air ventilation. Recommended services and programming include mobile medical and dental visits, telehealth appointments, cooking classes and gatherings, a farmer's market, exercise classes and workout groups, and youth and teen programs. Most community centers or neighborhood centers focus on providing recreational amenities and services. And through the community engagement, we learned that residents are also interested in other broader community support services. And so the city will want to assess the extent to which the Valley West Neighborhood Center incorporates elements of other types of community centers as listed here. A housing navigation center is a service hub that helps people experiencing homelessness transition into permanent housing. Services can include on-site support services such as case management, healthcare referrals, job training, help with benefits, and housing applications. A family resource center is a community-based hub that provides families with a variety of free or low-cost services and support to promote well-being and prevent crises. And then a disaster recovery resiliency center is a centralized hub for individuals, businesses, and communities to get information and assistance after disaster to help them recover and to build long-term resilience. The city will want to consider these focus areas in its further development of the neighborhood center with residents and other interested parties. Finally, wrapping up with our recommended next steps. We recommend further evaluate potential sites and explore options for entering into a long-term contract on a preferred site. Number 2, convene a strategic planning group that meets regularly and develops both a financing and an operations plan. Number 3, begin researching potential development and funding strategies. And then number 4, community engagement suggests that the Valley West area would benefit from community placemaking and increased perception of safety. The following recommendations are made to ensure the neighborhood center speaks to these needs and integrates with the full spectrum of the Valley West community. And that includes A, ensure that local cultural groups and associations are included in discussions and final design and programming. B, include spaces within the neighborhood center that accommodate the building of community relationships, such as a commercial kitchen for cooking classes and large flexible spaces that can accommodate gatherings and dances. C, consider a community art project to engage residents in ownership of the neighborhood center. Invite persons of all ages to create works of art which reflect their vision of or for the neighborhood and its residents. And then D, once the neighborhood center has been operational for a year, engage users of the center in a survey to get their feedback on their experiences and suggestions for improvement. That concludes our presentation. There is much more detail in the report itself, and we'd be happy to open it up now to questions.
Thank you, James and Alex. Do we have questions or comments from the council? I'll start on the right this time.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. I did go to one of those walk-along sessions, and so I appreciated seeing the sites. I really know that it's been a council's priority, which I really appreciate, and at least as long as I've been on the council, to revitalize and uplift and improve Valley West. We've seen, like you were saying, the basketball court, the pickleball, Carlson Park, all of these things that are really adding to making Valley West become a gem. And it seems like while these are really great things that this report was talking about, it really seems a little duplicative to me as to what Kuna's doing. I feel like a lot of those things listed, exercise and cooking classes and resilience and disaster preparedness, are things that we are already doing. And then, I'm going through the full report and seeing a total cost ranging from 12 million to 77 million, which gives me a little pause. But if in the future that's something that we were going to invest the money in, I would love to be a little bit more broad in thinking about what we could make this kind of be, and have a little bit of a return on investment and use it for meetings and, things that would bring people into the area. That's where, again, it's where all our hotels are. So I would just really like to, use it as kind of a launch pad for some things that would, enhance the community. I hope I'm making sense, but those are my comments right now. I might come back with more, but thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Salzer.
Thank you. No, I do appreciate what you were saying about, I think making sure that it's diverse so that we can use it for a multitude, it has flexibility because it will be a big undertaking and it's very exciting. Thank you. And just to remind folks, because I think we look at this and it's amazing, all the things we could do. But just to remind the city, we don't own any of those properties. So those are all potential, investments. And we don't, not to be the downer, but just to be the realistic person. So we're not all wondering when construction begins. We don't have funding for it, so it would definitely have to be tied in with something. And there was a really wide range of possibilities for use, which I appreciate, but it just shows that it's still, this was the first step, as you pointed out. This is, and it's a wonderful first step to just envision all of the things that it could be. And I look forward to down the road, hopefully sooner rather than later, having some type of funding source to tie it into so we could really start digging in more with the community to really narrow it down and figure out how we could best use it. So I think we're off to a great start. Thank you.
And so following up with what Meredith said, when I was looking at it, I was concerned about the fact that we don't actually have a fairly large multi-purpose or event room, but I guess you have 1,600 square feet. I noticed. How many people can be accommodated in that?
Depending on the use.
Well, let's say let's say an auditorium kind of. You're going to watch a movie or
probably
a concert.
50 to 100 in that size space. I would
How
say.
many? I'm sorry.
About 50 to 100, depending on how you're occupying the space.
Okay.
Approximately. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was really interesting. I read the report and I've thought about things, and then I like construction. So then I saw what you had proposed at Woodman's Hall, and I'm thinking, well, you have a parking lot. You could actually build over the parking lot, and you could have parking underneath, and you could actually expand the use for possibly a larger event center on the second floor. So I think it's a good start. I do know the largest piece of property you thought about. You underestimated what the value of it is on the market at the moment, but something maybe could happen there one day. And I'm thinking, whoa, that would be great to have this green space and have it all set. It was quite elegant. And I appreciate what you've been able to pull together and all the concerns that you've been able to generate in the community and finding out what the citizens actually would like, which leads me then I make notes and I'm thinking, well, what are we accommodating out there right now that meets some of these needs? And how can we put some of those together for that maybe necessarily wouldn't have to happen in this facility, but could happen somewhere else in the neighborhood. So it's a really good, well, anyway, it makes me think of a lot of opportunities. And as we've all said, we know Valley West has been high on the interest list for a long time. And back in, I think it's 2016 or somewhere, we had an economic study that was done on Valley West just to start to think about how we were going to pull things together. So I appreciate it. And thank you for giving me a lot to think about. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I did have a question. It asks us to adopt, and I'm wondering about the language, if we might consider accept. I have some things, being it's the holidays, a lot of folks have not had an opportunity to really pay attention to this. I'm also hoping that some things might come to fruition. I'm hoping that we might get some better engagement with our Spanish-speaking community. And while I know we saw that on could you tell me how many people were at the Spanish-speaking community event?
At the community visioning session, I want to say, I don't have the exact number here, but it was a full table of I think it was about 9 or 10 residents there.
I'm glad to hear that. I
Yeah.
heard there was 3. 2 of them were actually from the food truck. but
Yeah,
that's-
that included
that's better.
those from the food
but
truck. Yeah, and
considering that the largest population of Spanish-speaking community members in Arcata live in Valley West, I'd like to see if we could maybe boost that engagement a little bit more. And also, I'm hearing from the community a little bit of confusion. They were told that the community center would be much like the Arcata Community Center or D Street Center. And while there are some elements, again, there's a lot of duplication. I liked the idea of the site number one, where it could have like maybe mixed use. There could be some commercial. We could also share that space, like you said, doing some land banking and stick build from the ground up, as opposed to spending money demolishing buildings that are already there. And it's in between both parks. It's in between both Valley West and Valley East. And while it is most expensive, we could take that opportunity to have other uses for other people to perhaps lease from us or buy or share or collaborate in that. I'm also hoping that we might, I guess, and maybe, I don't know if I'm able to say this, but I'm just thinking of the duplication, and I hope that somehow that you could collaborate with Kuna or whoever the powers to be would be that at that time, so that we're not duplicating efforts. And I love the idea of having, I think Alex had talked about, actually everybody talked about the multi-purpose room. It would be a great place because this place is the first place that potential students and their families see. And it is where we have 90% of the hotels and motels. And I'm thinking where we could have this opportunity to bring in things and people from the outside that might otherwise not occupy that space. I'm thinking of concerts and other kinds of events. I'm also, there's something else, I lost my train of thought. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited about the stage of looking for the money. Show me the money. And yeah, thank you for your hard work. Again, I just hope that maybe we can collaborate so we don't duplicate services, do a little bit more community engagement. Also, I hear from some of the businesses that they just didn't get a chance to interact. We do have over, well, I want to say 78, but I think it's now over 80 businesses out in Valley West that I think would love to be part of that engagement process. Doesn't seem like we're in a huge hurry. We have time to still, make that come to fruition. And yes, please.
Okay. No, I'll say it. I really do appreciate that the momentum that Kuna has built, and every day I see new things that they're doing and more engagement with the community. So I would hate for that institutional knowledge to not be used. And I, as we all do, go to a lot of conferences and travel to a conference center in Ukiah or, wherever, even like Sequoia, even the Sequoia Conference Center. It would be wonderful. We have this spot near restaurants, near hotels. I mean, that was what I envisioned, like something that we could bring people into to have. So, but anyway.
Yeah, just a couple of follow-up comments briefly on some of those. Those are great comments. With regard to the work that's being done in the neighborhood, we, in our focus groups, in our discussions with nonprofits and service providers, we learned of all the great work that's happening in the area, and I think it's an opportunity to leverage the work that's already been done. Kuna and Cumbre Humboldt were very involved in the process, and one of our recommendations in the conclusion is that we continue to work with those local neighborhood groups to make it really a local project, not just a copycat of another community center, but make it really the heart of the neighborhood and leverage their programming and resources. It could provide space for them to do what they do. And the other is, yes, one of our recommendations for next steps is to continue to engage the local residents, particularly Spanish-speaking residents. We, in the time that we had, we did outreach. We walked the neighborhood. We visited local businesses. We had materials available in Spanish. We had a Spanish-speaking community visiting session, which is all great, but it does require continued, consistent effort going forward. So we do recommend that the city continue to engage local residents, including Spanish-speaking residents, in the process.
So I wanted to ask you, have you concluded your contract with the city of Arcata? And or do you have funding? I should ask staff. Do you have funding available to do any more work as Mayor White has suggested? I'm just curious because I sort of felt like this was a completed project and we're going to be not adopting it, but we're going to be accepting it, and then that's a basis for us to work on the future. Just wanted to check that.
Bringing in the pinch hitter here. Yeah, the contract is complete. And so this represents the end of the CDBG funded work. And that's why we're asking you to accept it tonight so that we can demonstrate to CDBG that what we did with the funding that they provided us was, conclusive, it was complete. And I really just want to emphasize that this is a very first introductory step. This was intended to give sort of a basis and a grounding for work that we would continue to do. I think as Councilmember Atkins Salazar said, we don't have money to do this. It would be great to go out and find the money to do this, to get an actual project done. We tried to be real clear with the public the entire time that this is not leading to a next step of a project. This is very initial stages. And so we will continue, as Mayor White suggested, to collaborate with the community as we work towards this, but it really is up to the council to give us direction to, continue on these next steps, or, how we want to pursue that funding. Clearly, it's not coming from the general fund. We would have to go and secure grants and other means for supporting it. So I guess what I would say is that any additional next steps and leveraging this report that the council wants us to do, that would be something that I think we should, continue to have a conversation about, maybe in goals setting as we're coming into the next fiscal year, and where you want to direct staff to focus next.
Thank you. I did have another question. I had lost my train of thought, and so in your report, page 186 of 304, it says, to refine the intention of the neighborhood center, convening a strategic planning group and continue coordination with the city's homeless service working group is recommended. And that was some of the feedback that I had gotten from Valley West community, was that they thought it was going to be very similar to D Street. And I know at one point there were several community members who had asked if we could do extreme weather shelter at D Street, and it was told by the city and staff that it would not be appropriate mixing the demographics of sheltering the unhoused with playgroups and children. And so the concern that I'm hearing from the community out there are the services, and I think Alex may have said that there are services, they don't necessarily have to be housed in the same building. There are services out there that could be in another building, but that is one of the concerns, is just mixing those demographics and then already bringing more out to an already heavily impacted community that is overwhelmed and wondering, like, is this going to be turning into for children and family and after school, or will it be something else? And I don't know how to answer that question for my community.
Yeah, I can briefly chime in. Specifically on the D Street piece, just for clarification, that location not being an extreme weather shelter is not use-based, it's actually facility-based. So the building itself isn't quite up to par for the standard we would need to meet for emergency sheltering. So just to provide that brief clarification on D Street particularly. And then in terms of the Valley West Neighborhood Center, I think that's still, the particular uses is still part of that question. There is a bit of, uncertainty and tension around what could work and what could be compatible, and how can we accommodate a variety of different perspectives and priorities. So I think that really speaks to the next steps. The intention is certainly not at this point to say the new community center will look very similar to D Street, because we don't yet know. So really this particular effort was to gather that feedback at large, see what the trends look like, consider some of the sites in the Valley West community, downtown, more business dense area, for lack of a better term, and imagine what's possible. And so just really wanting to underscore, this is an exploratory effort to understand where those community priorities lie, and then in identifying those tensions, recognize, okay, well, we still have some more work and investigation to add. And I think Director Loya wanted to add something as well. Team effort.
This is kind of fun, the musical chairs here. I also just wanted to add that, what the consultant has tried to do was to take all of the engagement, everything that we heard from people, they put that into the report, and then they're offering up options for the council to decide what to do next. I said consistently when this came up that I didn't think it was appropriate to have a shelter for homeless services out there, in particular, a city-funded one, in particular because Arcata House Partnership is already in the area serving people. And so duplicating that service doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. I think there are other services that, that are probably more supportive of the remainder of the community out there. And really, this is a council decision. So nothing in this report is committing us to a path. It's really your choice.
So I think that what I would like to do is to move to accept the Valley West Neighborhood Center assessment. And I think that we all really appreciated this presentation, and we all are excited about thinking what the possibilities could be for this. So I would also then like to direct staff to continue of looking for ways to continue with visioning and looking for sources of funding.
So are you making a motion to accept the report? And then, well, I'll second that part because that's what we've been asked to do. And then as we've been suggested by Community Development Director, that we have goal setting coming up, and that's where we have to look at the other components. So with that, I've made a motion.
Well,
and
then I will
I'll
amend my
second it.
motion to just accept the Valley West report, and we can
And I
talk about the
second
rest
that.
of goal setting. Cheers.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilmember Matthews. We have a second from Councilmember Stillman. Is there any other discussion on this before we vote? Okay, and then we will take public comment, and it looks like we have somebody ready to queued up for the podium.
Hi, my name's Joanne McGarry, and I was able to participate in the walk around of the 3 different sites, and I'm really appreciative of the visioning and creative concepts that everyone shared. And I actually did have a chance to chat with these 2 gentlemen prior to the meeting today. And one of the things that I really think in the future, when we're talking about anything that we're going to do, recognize that, first of all, the Regional Climate Action Plan was just passed, and that's going to be a real game changer in designing places for the future, especially that aren't fossil fueled, car focused places. So I just really want us to understand that we need to really think about all the elements of what's going to go into a place such as this. And I really do see the beauty of being really creative and outstanding in a design and functionality, for people who live here and for people who are visiting here, so that it truly is a draw, but in a real wonderful way. So I just, there's a lot of things with also the Dan Burden walking around that neighborhood. We got to take all those things into consideration. So when I see pictures with the parking lots, I get really kind of nervous because parking lots might not be existing a lot in the future. I just kind of want to say that out loud as we plan for the future and these great neighborhood centers.
Anybody else in person that would like to step up to the podium? Do we have anyone on Zoom?
No, we do not.
Okay, so we have a motion from Meredith, a second from Alex, and I guess it's time to take a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I'm an aye, so the motion passes. Okay, so our next item is C, adopt resolution number 256-25, designating off-street parking lot subject to 4-hour time limits. Can we receive a staff report from the Director of Environmental Services, no, we are going to receive a report from Netra. And I'm going to let you introduce your colleague.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Member, and member of the public here. And before I start, I have Leah Brazil from APD who will be assisting me here today with questions on this parking. Let me get my work here. So item in front of you today is parking modifications for EYE Street on Todd Court. I have a map here. So this is our parking map that we use to show people where our designated parking areas are. This earlier today at the council meeting, you saw Mike Fisher doing a presentation, and there was a map shown where there was a housing, Cal Poly housing, Hunarhu Malik housing is right here, which dead ends at EYE Street. There is no vehicle access. However, in August, when the housing opened, we observed a lot of parking on EYE Street. People were parking, and we were received a lot of complaints. Some of the people who live in that streets, they came to our Transportation Safety Committee, and they brought the concerns of people parking, and people who live there, they were not able to park. So at the TSC, we took that item, and staff recommended to convert the portion of EYE Street and Todd Court to preferential parking, which TSC recommended, and we are moving forward with that. Also, at the same time, sometime in October, you may have noticed some of the neighbors from EYE Street, they came to our council meeting and asked for preferential parking. So because of that, we are doing this today. So we are today recommending to convert the EYE Street from the stretch of JAY Street to the end and the Todd Court to a preferential zone. Currently, we have 3 preferential zone in City of Arcata, zone A, B, and C, and there are different rules and regulations. If you want more detail on that, definitely Leah can talk on that. But the goal here is to, so that the people who live in the neighborhood are able to park there. I think that's the goal. So we are asking you to adopt this resolution so that we can put the signs and designate this zone as a preferential zone. We will not be enforcing this until 30 days after the signs are installed, so people get some notifications and they know what to do. We will be notifying the people who live in that neighborhood. Also, we'll put our CMS changeable message sign so that people know, please get the preferential parking permit before you park here so that they have time. So with that, Leah, you want to add anything?
We received a petition signed by most people living on both EYE and Todd Court that was attached to the agenda. So they are all very supportive of it and looking forward to having this done.
So with that, if you have any questions?
Yeah,
please.
I was going to say, check with the council, and then we'll go on to the public.
Well, I'm assuming since you blacked out all their addresses and, emails and all that sort of, but you actually have it somewhere, that you'll be able to contact all of them to let them know the procedure that they have to come and pick up the preferential parking, and if they can buy a second one or not, if they have a guest, etc. So.
Yes, we will explain them the rules for getting the preferential parking permits.
Because you had so many signatures. So
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Everybody wants it.
Yes, they do. I just looked at all those sheets. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank staff for moving quickly on this. We, had a lot of people that were suddenly shocked by changes in their neighborhood, and I felt like we ran this through committees and are, proceeding as quickly as a municipality can. So thank you all for that.
And I will ditto what Councilmember Atkins-Salazar said. I know that so many people have been very angst about this, and so we brought it to the table quickly. So I guess we should go for public comment is the next thing, unless anybody else has anything else to add. Okay, do we have public that would like to comment on this particular item? Step up to the podium, please.
Council, I
I think this is a warning sign for us of things that could be coming down the road as we move towards a denser housing plan in Arcata. So I think we need to take this opportunity to like learn a major lesson about this and think about what could or should have been planned differently to either anticipate this problem or to avoid it altogether. What changes could or would have been made in the plans, knowing what we know now, and how should those lessons be applied going forwards to future projects in the city? I just hope we take a chance to learn a little bit of a lesson, use this to really inform our future plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is Joanne McGarry, and I totally appreciate the speed with which the city has responded to the concerns of the residents in that area where the large dormitories are built by the university, which brings me to what was said earlier by a resident about the Foster project and concerns about that. So I really appreciate that quick response was done on this issue, and I agree with Dan Shaheen in that what have we learned from this? And so as we go forward with other projects, especially that involve cars, we, really seriously look outside the parking lots, look outside the projects, and recognize the impacts that it will make to other people nearby. So I really applaud the city for responding so quickly to the concerns, because I went to those dorms when they first opened, and I walked down I Street and saw people I knew who lived there who were like not happy. So applaud you for quick response.
Thank you. Do we have anybody on Zoom for this particular item?
No, we do not.
No. Okay. So any final comments from council?
Oh, no, with that, I was going to move to adopt resolution number 256-25 designating, wait a minute, I have the wrong one. Adopt resolution number 256-15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Arcata amending resolution number 201-08 designating streets subject to preferential parking.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Alex and a second from Meredith, and I guess I should be using their Council Member Stillman and Council Member Matthews. Yeah. Okay, so no more discussion, I'm assuming, and so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so motion passes. Okay, thank you. So now we are at oral written communications. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm jumping. I apologize. Sorry. Yep, it's right in front of me. All right, so adopt resolution number 256-25 designating off-street parking lots. Did I just not read that one? Okay. Okay, so subject to 4-hour time limits. Can we receive a report from Director of Environmental Services, Emily Sinkhorn? I got
Great.
that one this
Hello,
time.
hello, Council. Thank you for having this item. So this item is focused on re-looking at our designation of parking time limits on off-street parking lots in city parks, as well as some other standalone city lots. And this item has really come up out of concerns of parking at Larson Park and follows the previous item, really focused on parking concerns in the EYE, JAY, and Todd Streets with the new student housing. So our municipal code outlines that the city council can, by resolution, designate time limits for parking in off-street lots. When the concerns really began, when staff began to hear concerns about Larson Park and in thinking of changes to our time limits, we did further research and really understood that we have a resolution on our books that does cover parking time limits for Larson Park. Prior councils about 20 years ago adopted that. And so Larson Park currently has a 4-hour time limit, as well as other parking lots, D Street, the 8th and F lot, the transit lot, 7th and G lot. And so we noted that if the council supported keeping those time limits, we can put signs up at, Larson very shortly. But we did notice that also, we've had parking, just interest of having more available parking at Carlson Park. A previous agenda item on the consent calendar is really going to enable us to implement more on-street parking without impacting active transportation availability. And so this item before you is to consider adding Carlson Park to that resolution, adopting a new resolution that would update the existing one. And so our staff's recommendation is to adopt this resolution, adding Carlson Park as a 4-hour time limit. So we would be able to post those signage at all appropriate lots, and then really see how for Larson Park and really any of the lots, see how behaviors and parking usage goes over this, next several months, especially when the preferential parking zones are to be implemented soon, to see if we still have concerns at the Larson lot. So that is a summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Why don't we start on this end here?
So the D Street, Larson, 8th and F, and 7th G, they already have a 4-hour limit that just heretofore hasn't been enforced because there hasn't been signs. So this is just adding Carlson Park.
This is just adding Carlson Park. In your on the resolution itself, at the last page 304 of your packet, it outlines the existing parks or existing lots. Some of those are signed, some are not, and so this is a helpful opportunity to recheck in on what can be signed.
Shoot, I'm sorry, I thought I pushed it. Is there a reason why it's 4 hours and not 2? Does it make, has 2, I don't have any preference. I'm just wondering if it's ever been discussed.
Oh, I was just going to follow up over at Larson Park area. And what individuals were saying is that a lot of students are parking there by the tennis courts, and then they go to school and they can come back. And so within 4 hours, you'd be able to do that easily. And I'm wondering if that's not an area we should actually consider different for 2-hour parking. I'm just bringing that up at this moment.
Yeah, our initial thought was we have currently not received as many concerns from the existing parking lots besides Larson that are on this existing resolution. The reason for 4 hours, I think, is to try and hit that sweet spot, especially of the ones that are in the downtown area, for encouraging staying in Arcata for a longer period of time and shopping and being able to, you can play pickleball for an awful long time too. I think that it really has been internally like a 2 to 4 hour, discussion. Because of just what we could get done today, our department would be more than happy to bring back a new resolution for 2-hour parking for specific lots. For today, because of how the agenda item is framed and the resolution is framed, I don't think we'll be able to make those changes on the fly. So I'm very happy to consider that for a future agenda item, while also recommending adding Carlson Park at this time tonight. And then to consider a 2-hour parking if that seems warranted with the change in the preferential parking at a later date.
So I didn't mean to say we should change it. I'm just giving you information.
I just had the question, but I think since it heretofore hasn't been enforced, 4 hours is fine to start, and we'll see how it goes.
See how it goes.
2 hours on people.
See what happens from that, and maybe we'll look at a later date and decide maybe that area needs to be considered for 2 hour. But thank you.
And I agree with what's been said, and I do I can see the potential, as we all can, for issues specifically at Larson Park, but we don't know if that will happen or not. So I think starting with 4 is great. And then if we do want to go to somewhere, I do think it should be limited to a specific parking lot so that we can do community outreach in that area. And so I think we're all on the same page. Yeah.
Do we have anybody in the public who'd like to comment on this? Anyone on Zoom?
No, we do not.
Great.
Well, since I haven't been able to make motions for months, for a whole year, here I go again, and I'll let you all have your chance later. And so I would move to adopt resolution number 256.25, designating off-street parking lots subject to 4-hour time limits, and thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, so let's do a vote. All in favor, say
Yes.
aye.
Aye.
And I am aye, so the motion passes. Does want to just take a quick break, maybe 3-minute break? 3-minute break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We are now at oral and written communications. The city council values your comments. The public comment period allows people to address the council on matters not on the agenda. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Please note, pursuant to the Brown Act, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the agenda. The council may respond to statements. If you are in person and wanting to give public comment, please line up at the podium. Please raise your hand if you are on Zoom webinar, or press 9 now if you're on a phone, and line up if you'd like to make public comment. All right, come on up.
This is my first time here since we changed mayors. I'm sure you're just not playing musical chairs. Congratulations to the new mayor. That's it. Yeah, that's what you do. You change chairs. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. I'm Arcata. I was not at the November meeting, but I saw it in real time. I see them all in real time if I'm not here. And I heard some outrageous remarks that I feel compelled to address. First, I took a look at Sister Cities International, which is a globally recognized blueprint for sister cities. And I'm quoting here from their stated mission: promote peace and understanding that focuses on arts and culture, youth and education, business and trade, and community development. I've been coming to city council for months now, and all I hear is anti-Semitic slurs and total ignorance of Israel history. Hating Jews and hating Israel is not a criteria for a sister city. What a coup it would be for the Hamas Gazan terrorists if a city in America who they hate would make them a sister city, and they do hate us. You know, some of you may know that I was down at the Eureka Courthouse every week for almost 2 years, advocating for the return of the hostages. And in the beginning, before the money ran out, the Palestinians and their supporters were across the street shouting, "Down with Israel, down with America, death to Israel, death to America, death to America." And they were on American soil. And at this council meeting in November, and in the Times Standard, where he was quoted by a reporter, Mr. Peace and Justice said, and I quote, "No city on the planet should be excluded from being a sister city if they want to be a sister city with us." Wow. Is Arcata so desperate for a sister city? At the very least, it should be a city that doesn't hate America. There are hundreds, thousands of cities who are not associated with terrorists, who are not at war, do not hate any religions, and actually like us. And they would love to be a sister city with us. And Mr. Peace and Justice thinks he should have more of a say in this project than American citizens who love Arcata and love America, as I do. I do not agree with him. Mr. Peace and Justice represents the interests of Palestine, not Arcata. And hasn't he done enough already? He brought hate to my beautiful Arcata, and I don't forgive him for that. But if any of you wish to donate to Hamas Gaza, I'm sure Mr. Peace and Justice will be happy to take your money. You don't need to be a sister city for that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
You guys know me, I'm Abraham from Arcata. If our Western democratic countries with all their flaws are colonizers, then how do we resist oppression? If the most equal, most racially diverse countries on earth can be accused of apartheid, then how can we fight against racism? When free market societies are oppressive and evil, how can we make people prosper? And how can a sovereign nation preserve its place in the world when every war of self-defense is called a genocide? When you take away all of the modern Western political remedies for injustice and oppression, the only tool you have left is revolution. Revolutions like the ones in 1776 and the one in 1948 are good when they result in a free and democratic society. But when we revolt against democracy itself, what's the result then? Jihad. Bloody, violent revolution is the official policy of the Muslim Brotherhood and all of its offshoots like ISIS and Hamas. It's one of the rare moments when radical socialists stand shoulder to shoulder with the far right. in the politics of genocide, killing Jews, killing Christians, killing capitalists until the whole world is conformed to a purified vision of a theocratic, fascist society led by a radical Islamist dictator known as the Mahdi. And now, even during Human Rights Awareness Month, we have individuals calling for us to partner with this campaign to erase the Jewish people. And the events this week have shown us in Bondi Beach, Australia, that Israeli Jews aren't the only target. The rules of this chamber do not require you to permit calls to form an official partnership with Hamas in Gaza City, where representatives of this movement are still gunning down women and children. Remember the mention of women and children in the streets. It's against the law, guys. This discussion has gone on long enough. And now it's time to recognize these violent jihadis for who they are and expel them from your chamber. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
My name is Jody and I live in Arcata. First, I would like to congratulate Kimberly White on her new appointment as mayor of Arcata. My hope is that you will be a mayor that believes that all Arcata residents deserve to live in a safe and peaceful environment. I've lived in Arcata for almost 21 years, and until 2 years ago, I never thought that this was a place that would support hatred against its citizens because of their religion. But now here we are. For the last 2 years, pro-Hamas jihad supporters have taken over our Cal Poly campus, attacking Jewish students and doing more than $1 million damage to our campus with no consequences for their actions. For the last 2 years, I have personally had to face violent pro-Hamas supporters every week when I stood at the Eureka courthouse advocating for the return of the hostages taken by Hamas terrorists on October 7th, 2023. At first, they showed up at the courthouse and yelled obscenities at hostage advocates, calling for death to America, death to Israel, and death to Jews. They repeatedly shouted, "We are all Hamas. Globalize the Intifada. There is only one solution, Intifada revolution. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," meaning violence to erase the sovereign state of Israel, the only democratic and diverse nation in the Middle East with over 2 million Muslim citizens with full rights. These are the same people who are demanding Arcata make Gaza City a sister city. I recognize them, and they showed their disrespect to this city council on August 6th and on numerous occasions. At each meeting, they come here to demand Arcata approve their plan to legitimize terrorism, spouting racist slurs towards anyone who opposes them. Last Sunday in Australia, 16 Jewish people were hunted and murdered and 40 others injured at a Hanukkah celebration at the famous Bondi Beach. That is what globalized the Intifada looks like. Hamas and their supporters, including some here in Arcata, celebrated the murder of Jews. Gaza City already has 15 sister cities supporting it. Arcata's culture is not compatible with Islamist extremism, but that is what supporters of Gaza Sister City here in Arcata support and want to fund and import here. Why do we have stanchions to block off city council and now need police in this room? Not because of Jewish Arcatans, but because of violent threats made by pro-Hamas supporters demanding a sister city. My hope is that Arcata City Council will always seek to protect the safety of all its citizens and reject the Jew hatred here in our city that's thinly veiled as anti-Zionism, the new word for Jew hate. And as far as genocide is concerned, there is none.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Good evening. My name's Joanne McGarry. so many things I wanted to talk about. First, I want to acknowledge the land acknowledgement that has been framed up on the wall here at City Hall, and it looks great, and there's 2 empty spots, so I hope to see something compatible or equally interesting up there. So I appreciate that going back up, the acknowledgement, land acknowledgement. As I've mentioned earlier tonight, I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting to speak on the Regional Climate Action Plan, which you all know I've been waiting for it to finally get passed and then hopefully implemented. And I had shared with the Board of Supervisors a Greta Thunberg video of 11 minutes from her 15-year-old TED Talk back in 2018. And I will send it to you as well, because I really do think we need to be reminded of what she had to say about climate change and biodiversity loss and her concern about inaction. So I'm glad that we have a regional climate action plan now. I've been also looking back at my time living in Santa Barbara and some of the innovative things that they have done and are pursuing. And one of the things I spoke up with at the Board of Supervisors was about considering no more fireworks in our county, whether it's in a city or county property. I think fireworks should be passé. Santa Barbara's looking at banning plastic water bottles, and they're looking at banning balloons and helium balloons and things like that. So in a climate changing world, these little items make a big difference in terms of how we, proceed in living in a better way. So that's that. And just a reminder of transparency, truth, and trust, and honesty, humility, and humaneness, and caring, compassion, and connectedness. And then CBD, that's the THC, and the CBD is courage, bravery, and decisiveness. And fear has no place in Arcata. So let's be brave as we move into 2026. And hate has no place in Arcata. And the one thing that was beautiful about Jim Glover's and the Human Rights Commission and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is that it's a beautiful document, and maybe it can temporarily go up in the space there next to the land acknowledgement. But let's also think about becoming International City of Peace, a nonviolent city through the Nonviolent City Project. And please, the big thing is compassion. We want to be a compassionate city. So let's think about joining the Charter for Compassion. You can do it individually, and it would be wonderful to do it collectively. So we can be a peaceful, nonviolent, compassionate place. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Hi, Council. Thanks for doing the job that you do. It's not easy. Congratulations to our new mayor, Kim White. So I also want to thank all the people that come out and speak their opinions here. I think it's great that anybody can get up here and say what they think, no matter how racist it is, no matter how hateful it is, no matter how much it denies the existence of a people. I think the tragedy of Bondi Beach, it was horrendous, and something, if we're consistent, we have to condemn political violence. Political violence is not something that we can ever support as a society. And we also have to make sure that we do not support the suppression of political speech. So I want to thank all the people that came up here, and are not afraid to say really things that are really, really offensive to a lot of people here in Arcata, my family, my children. I want to thank the council for declaring, acknowledging it's a month to commemorate civil rights and to deny hatred. And I just want to remind you guys all one thing. So it's not this is something Martin Luther King said. He said, it's not the words of my enemies we will remember, it's the silence of our friends. So remember that. It really hurts. It hurts my family when people come into my city hall and deny my heritage and call anybody who supports my heritage Hamas supporting terrorists. It's painful. And I I don't want it to stop because I believe in free speech. I do want somebody to maybe talk about it a little bit more at city council. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Next.
Hi, Council. Congratulations, Kimberly White, for your mayorship, or I'm not sure how you say that, but anyway, my name is Tricia Murphy. I'm here to speak in favor for a sister city. I've been watching every day for over 800 days what Israel, with our tax dollars in the United States, have done to the Palestinian people. I've watched them drop 2,000 bombs on people in tents, more munitions than in Hiroshima, in a small, very small, condensed area with there was once 2.2 million people, and the Lancet came out in early 24 and said that if the bombing continued the way it had, that there would be somewhere around 1 million that would be dead. And I believe, I'm going to go with the science. I believe they've killed about half of the Palestinians there. I think they're enduring their third winter out in the cold. Their babies are dying of hypothermia. They're still starving. They're still bombing. There's been no ceasefire. The stories coming out of Gaza are still horrendous. In 800 plus days, I've watched it. And the people in the West Bank are getting, they've really ramped up their abuses there. At one time, before this October 2023, they had 700 checkpoints in the West Bank. The West Bank was supposed to all be Palestinian land. It is Palestinian land, but there's over 800,000 settlements there. And now there's 1,300 checkpoints. They've torn up their roads, their infrastructure. They're going door to door and burning people, burning their homes. I heard a horrendous story from a Canadian journalist who was just there, and she was in the West Bank. And we have a local Jewish person, a friend of mine, who just came back from the West Bank. But this Canadian gal talked about her experience of being beat unconscious by IDF soldiers while trying to protect families near Jericho. They took a 4-year-old child by the legs and slammed that child, threw it across the room, and slammed its head into a wall. They beat an elderly man within an inch of his life. This is just 1 hour period in the West Bank. This goes on day in and day out. I support a sister city.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make comment that is in person? If not, we will be going to Zoom.
Yes, I have one hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, so if we only have one hand, we'll take that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
S. Townsend, please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to comment today. Thank you for the people that come out here and share your thoughts. Those of you that are promoting the dehumanization of a people and their existence and trying pathetically to connect people within the pro-Palestine movement with violence or hatred. Just thank you. Keep doing it because you look pathetic. I met with a local resident, Arcata resident recently. She just got back from the West Bank. She went with a group of her Jewish comrades over to help them attempt to harvest the olives during the olive season, which just happened. She's an amazing, beautiful person who risked her life to do that, and had a very, an experience. Yeah. We live in a really crazy time where people who are standing up against genocide are called anti-Semites. Okay. People who are actually standing up for people who are also Semites, Semitic people, are being called anti-Semites. Jewish people who stand up for people undergoing a genocide are being called anti-Semites. It's just insane. But I do value the free speech that I still have, the very small inklings, and the fact that we can still come to at least our local councils and share our opinions and thoughts on the state of the world. At least we can still do that. I don't think we will be able to do that much longer. I'm hopeful that people start to become more politically aware and to read books and to listen to the opinions and thoughts of others, especially those that live outside of the United States of America, because there is a lot happening that folks are generally not aware of that's really controlling the narrative and controlling the conversation here. But if you listen to your heart and you listen to who you are and how your parents raised you, you will understand what is right and what is wrong. And being against genocide is the most honorable thing and the most American and democratic thing that you can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that will bring us then to the city manager's report. Do you have anything to report this evening?
Yes, just a couple things. I just wanted to take a moment to remind the public that City Hall will be closed on the 24th and 25th, and we're actually going to be closed on the 26th this year too. So there'll be 3 days. So just plan ahead if you need to get into City Hall, and if you want to come in, we'll be open on the 22nd and 23rd, but closed 24th, 25th, and 26th next week. And then there's been concern from the public about some of the unhoused community. What should they do? Where are services available? And the key intake point in Arcata is the Arcata House partnership at the annex. So don't go to the places in Valley West, go to the annex next to the former transit facility. That's the spot that Arcata House would like you to go if there's an intake. And there's been many contributors. The county has put money towards the winter weather shelter. The city has put a significant amount of money towards providing additional services throughout the winter and housing options. And I know that Arcata House has been continuing to work on what they can provide. So I just wanted to remind the public of that. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us then to finally council reports. I will start on the left this time.
Okay. Okay, well, we were all there, but I just wanted to mention the retirement of Chief Silver, and that we had a ceremony for him. And then we had another ceremony for the installation of Chief Ortega. And I just happened to be in City Hall. And both of those were fantastic, and I'm really happy that we had so many law enforcement people that came to support both the retirement and the installation. So it was really nice to see. I came into City Hall on Monday, and all these tables out here were just covered with cookies and candy. And so the cookie and candy fairies showed up in City Hall, as they usually do, on this Monday, and so it was pretty amazing. I just wanted to mention too, this Friday is the time that the gift giving will happen for Arcata Children's Center, that the city has asked, everyone contributes to making that a possibility. And that'll be happening, I think, at 8:30. I wanted to remind us that remember that we did pass an ordinance against plastic bags. So when you go to the grocery store, you cannot get a plastic bag. You can only get it to put your vegetables in, but that's about it. And I was just thinking about it. And I have one other thing. I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone that supported Measure H. And it's made a big difference in Arcata. And one of the things that I think is excellent is now the bathrooms at Redwood Park are open. And we had one of the people working on Measure H that wanted to make sure that happened. So I just want to show everyone how important it was and how much I appreciate it. And the council appreciates you all supporting Measure H. And thank you.
Thank you. I think the only thing on my list, not covered by Councilmember Stillman, because most of us were all at the same events this past couple of weeks, was that the two of us also did attend the Homeless Services Working Group today and discussing the information that Merritt put forward about winter shelters and other concerns that we have for the folks without homes in our community. And I will have my last HCOG meeting tomorrow, and then I will be switching to HWMA. So I'm looking forward to that last meeting. All right, that's all.
All right. It's been a minute since our last meeting, so I think I might have a lot. I went to, there was a meeting at the Arcata Community Center a couple days ago. I know we've had a lot of people in here and been getting a lot of emails about the cell tower. And so I just wanted to say that Councilwoman Stillman and I went to that meeting, and it was a full house. I really appreciated all of the community engagement from the people that live out there. They made a great showing. They had some really valid points, and I encourage the people that were there to use the resources that were given to them. And if anybody needs the emails of who to contact that weren't at that meeting, please let me know, and I'm happy to pass that on. We are in the season in Wonder and Light of Wonder and Light. I think the Arcata Chamber of Commerce did a really lovely job with Santa and the Snowflake Queen out last weekend. And, I've been walking around to a lot of our local businesses in the last couple days that are very happy with everybody they've said has really made an effort to make sure to shop local this holiday season. And I know that all the stores are really pleased with all the people that have been out and about shopping. So I'm super grateful to that. I had Access Humboldt meeting on Wednesday. They are still looking for a place to land. So if anybody has any ideas of where might house this very vital organization, please let me know. Also, the Kinetic Sculpture Lab is also looking for a place to land too. That is the matter of like 13 days I think they have left. So be on the lookout for that. Went on Valley West walking tour with Dan Burden. It was, again, always interesting to see things through his eyes and notice all the opportunities that Valley West has. I have my first Housing, Economic, and Community Development meeting in Sacramento in January. I'm looking forward to hearing about all the legislation about housing that is coming forward, and what I will support and not support. And I think that's it. I hope everybody has a wonderful, happy holiday and Happy New Year.
So Meredith, you just reminded me of something. I was thinking, I know that as far as the cell tower is concerned, it affects so many residents in Arcata because of the odd configuration of the Grotzman Creek. And I know that Mike Wilson, Supervisor Wilson, kept talking about findings, and that the city has set forward a lot of their concerns. But I'm thinking it might be a wise thing for us, even though it may make no difference, is for us to write a letter to the Board of Supervisors encouraging them to thinking about another location. Because the Grossman Creek, I understand, I have not been there, but I understand it's a really sweet little area. It doesn't get a lot of traffic. I mean, there's no trails going into it or anything, but it's one of our natural habitats that we have. And I'm just thinking I don't know how the council feels about doing that, but if the council and the mayor is interested in that, I would like to see us put something on the agenda and have a letter that can be sent to them, to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I forgot that.
Great. And so I'm new at this, so tell me how I might facilitate that.
We've heard requests. I'm seeing indication from a couple council members that'd like to be on there. So when we do the next agenda setting, we'll put that on there and see if we have
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for the representation at that meeting. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but it sounds like you guys had it covered, and this is going to be on our agenda next. So wonderful. Like my fellow colleagues, Stacy And Meredith, I went on the Dan Burden Valley West walk audit and learned a lot about how we might implement traffic calming measures on Giantoli Lane, often referred to as Arcata Speedway. We discussed how we might improve crosswalk signage on Valley West and make Valley West, and in particular Valley East, a little more people-oriented. As many know, Valley West originally was built as a car-centric area characterized by shopping center, hotels, motels, and fast food restaurants. And of course, it's divided from the rest of the city by Highway 101 and 299. So the current design has led to challenges for residents without vehicles who are often isolated from essential city services. And the upcoming Reconnecting Arcata project specifically targets Valley West to improve connectivity for the high population of seniors, low-income residents, and students who may not own a vehicle. We also discussed how we might make Valley East, with the back of the shopping center facing outward to the street, more appealing and more people-oriented and pedestrian-friendly, with possibilities of murals and trees and other landscaping measures. It was really nice to see my community through the eyes of Dan and the team. They were amazing. The following day, I got the opportunity to attend the Culmination Community Workshop that highlighted all the various walk audits throughout the county with Dan Burden and the team at the Wharfinger in Eureka. And as you all know, I had got the gavel passed on to me on Thursday, and on Friday, one of my first official duties, I had the honor to swear in our new Chief of Police, Chris Ortega. And then tomorrow, I am excited to do something new. One of my new community liaison joint powers is HCOG, so I'll be attending that monthly meeting for the first time. And also, Kuna will be holding a holiday celebration this Saturday from noon to 3 with a bilingual Santa arriving on a shiny red fire truck from the Arcata Fire District. There will be ornament making and cookie decorating, and light refreshments will be served. And as always, everything Kuna does is free. It is the gift to the community, and all are welcome. And if we don't have any other items, I get to use this baby. All right, this meeting is adjourned.